Hallow Ian.
Forever.
Oh, good evening. Stephen, my boy, how are you?
Good evening, Brian.
Wow, you seem to be having some trouble talking with those fangs in your mouth, but I'm not going to draw a tremendous amount of attention to it. Steve, why is it that Glenn Danzig gets angry so much more quickly than the average person?
Why does Glenn Danzig get so? I mean, the obvious answer is he has short man syndrome. He has, but like that's the real answer.
Track.
But
You're on the right track. You're on the right track.
Because he has a short temper.
I'm going to take a sip of... you're close. You guys you're beating around the bush. I'm going to take a sip of beer and see if you can get it by then. And here comes the glass to my mouth.
Is it short temper? Is it short fuse? But what,
guys? When he
has a hair trigger.
Well, you just abandon the short thing.
Yeah, just abandon
no,
short.
It's because the point in which he's had it up to here is just much lower.
Oh, okay.
Because he's short.
Yeah, he's
Welcome, boys and girls, to a very spooky Minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Oh, and Hallow Ian back
And we
here.
have-
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hallow Ian can't get enough. We're still in the honeymoon phase. He doesn't fucking hate us yet. He's continuing to come back on the show. And guys, we're doing Danzig. You know I'm going to do one of two jokes. I'm going to do a cat joke, kitty litter joke, or I'm going to do a short joke. And it feels like the short joke would piss him off more.
Yes.
So that's why I went for the short joke.
Yeah.
Also, I hope to be able to figure out the answer to this question someday, but just in case we do get the opportunity to someday, maybe let's say we interview somebody who is part of the cast or on the production of the movie we're going to talk about. Oh, by the way, guys, we are talking about a masterpiece from 20 and 21. Glenn Danzig's, was this his second directorial? I wouldn't say this is not his directorial debut. This is his second feature-length directed film. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. This is Death Rider in the House of the Vampires, guys. Over under on how many inches the raises in his shoes were.
Good question. And because very rarely does he share a frame with anybody but one other actor.
Yeah.
But there is one scene in which he is next to a pro wrestler and he looks absolutely tiny.
He does. And you could say like it's a perspective thing. And I guarantee he still had, I'm going to say the over under on the heels is 3.
Yeah. He had,
three's the over under.
Heels are a good possibility. He also could have just made the actor stand with his legs apart.
Sure.
Yeah.
Could have done the legs apart trick.
Yeah.
Could have done.
I feel like he's so vain. Yeah, like he could do the apple box or on a stack of phone books or something. But I feel that he is probably just vain enough where he's trying to still trick everyone on set. He doesn't just care about what's on screen. He cares about what the people think on set as well.
Valid.
And so I'm thinking he might be going, who's the dickhead from Florida who had like got caught with like the super
Ron DeSantis
high heat
does it.
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that? Where he had the shoes and like they were like the way he was standing, they were like bent.
Well,
I'm imagining he wore those types of things.
Well, the other thing DeSantis did was he would wear cowboy boots, which is perfect for Glenn Danzig in his cowboy movie. Because what you do is you stuff the toe of your cowboy boot and then you put your whole foot inside the cowboy boot, but inside the heel is a giant lift. So essentially you're wearing high heels as a man, but nobody can tell because it's all stuffed inside the boot. And that's probably what Glenn's doing here is he's got a 3-inch heel inside his cowboy boot. And then he looks like a normal person almost.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. And he's with a 3-inch heel. He's still, 5'7". Probably. But in any case, guys, we're not here to just make fun of how short Glenn Danzig is. We're also here to make fun of all of his filmmaking capabilities or lack thereof. So like I said, we are going to talk. This was Steven's punishment film for us.
Yes.
So Steve is back on top. He does have that motherfucking championship strap. I have seen, some tabloid photos of Steve strolling around the Giant Eagle, trying to find stovepipes, a Yeti or whatever he does down at the local Giant Eagle, getting the chip chopped ham. And he did have the belt thrown over his shoulder. So he's got a little swag in his step. And he threw a real gem at us for his punishment. But before we get to that, we got to do a bunch of other shit at the top of the show. First of all, if you've been listening to the last few episodes, you probably know who our friend Hallow Ian is here. But for those who have been slacking or catching up or maybe haven't listened to the last few episodes, Ian, why don't you take a quick second, introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. This is Hallow Ian of Seattle's Scariety Show. We feature independent short films, music videos, and interviews with horror creatives, mostly around the Pacific Northwest, but all over the world. And we are currently taking submissions for season 3. So if you would like your horror short film or music video to appear on Seattle local TV, you can now send that to us at filmfreeway.com/Hallow Ian Horror Hour.
Yeah, and here's a suggestion. Maybe one Mr. Glenn Danzig out there could take this film, cut it down to its rightful size, which is 35 minutes, and then submit it over to Hallow Ian and the crew, because this really should have been a short film. There's no reason for this to be a feature film.
No, we would love to roast this as a feature film in true Elvira horror host fashion, though. This would be an absolute great film to just rip apart and make fun of in its feature-length form.
Yeah. Let's treat this episode as we're just spitballing here. Just get some bits together so you guys can do it on the air. How's that?
That'd be great.
But thank you once again. Ian won our first ever Royal Ruckus back in January, then came on to defend his title in February. For those of you who are here for the Regal Ruckus, he did turn heel at the end, and ended up taking it home. He's the dirtiest player of the game. He's now become the Ric Flair of Halloween is Forever.
Yep.
But then he was dethroned during the Showdown episode in February, just last week. Steve took home that strap. He handed this punishment down to us because, of course, to the victor go the spoils. Guys, we, believe it or not, have to spin that motherfucking spinny ass wheel one more time already, believe it or not. I know it always sneaks up on us every damn month because we're going to be spinning for the first month of the year that doesn't suck shit, which is, of course, March. But before we do that, as Steve gets up the spinny ass wheel, let me remind you, if you want to help us to pick these topics, if you got suggestions for us, if you want to vote when these 3 selections that we're about to spin for come out, for what our March Showdown episode is going to be, follow us over on the social medias. We're on all of them. We're even on the Blue Sky now, I'm told, the Instagram, Facebook a little bit. We don't really do the X too much anymore, because of all the racism. But you know what? Join
Nazis.
us because all the Nazis, guys. Also, this is a little bit of a side tangent here, but I do want to throw it out there because back in January, I remember we did talk about, or maybe it was December even, when we were looking back on 20 and 24 and we were looking forward to 2025, and we said, what are we looking to do in 20 and 25? And of course, as always, this has been my goal here for the last probably 3 or 4 years. My number one goal for 20 and 25, as it was last year as well, is to kill God. Mm-hmm. I'm out to kill God. That's what I'm trying to do. If you've got any inside tips, tricks, anything like that you think we could help me in my goal, I'm still looking to do that. But also in 2025, new one, which I guess probably was still hanging on in the periphery for the last few years as well, is get into fist fights with Nazis.
Hell yeah.
It's been a while. I'm approaching 40 years old. It's been a while since I've been in a fist fight. I'm looking to physically fight people this year. So if you are a Nazi, slide into the DMs and catch me outside. I don't know. I'm looking to physically fight you. I'm a little fat. I'm a little out of shape. I'm a little old, but I want to do damage to your face with my fists. So let me know if you're interested. Looking to kill God. Looking to physically assault Nazis. All right. Yeah, follow us on the social medias as always. You can even send us one of those fucking emails, halloweensforeverpod@gmail.com. And then, Steve, tell the Boils and Ghouls where we're at and what exciting stuff we have coming up. Holy shit, we're going to have a big announcement this month as it pertains to the Patreon. Why don't you tell the Boils and Ghouls about that? Well, I take my sweater off because I'm thinking about punching Nazis and I'm getting a little sweaty and horny.
Y'all riled up thinking about punching Nazis. Ready to go for it. Yeah. I'll tell you, before I get into the Patreon at patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever, before we got on the call, I just saw a great video of a fucking Nazi getting busted right in the mouth. And it's a new one. It was like there was a protest and this dude rocked up with the polo shirt and the wraparound sunglasses and was running his mouth and doing the whole, you bunch of, slurs. And then you won't do anything. Go ahead. Throw the first punch. You won't. And there's one guy there. He sets down his camera equipment. And as he's bent over, is putting his camera equipment down, the dude in the polo shirt rocks up and he uses his hips to thrust on him. It's like a kind of a hip check. And that guy goes, "Oh, hey, that's my signal." He put hands on me first, and he comes up with the Mortal Kombat uppercut. And
hell yeah, dude! Dude, uppercut's so underrated. Uppercut is so underrated. I love an uppercut.
It's so good.
Fucking Johnny Cage, pow! Listen, this is getting my white trash boiling, dude.
I'll send you the video after the show. But he hits him so hard, the guy's glasses come off, and his fucking phone flies away. It looks like. I mean, to use another video game reference, it looks like Sonic just hit a spike and lost all his rings. He just dusts this dude and everything goes flying.
Oh man, I love it. This is the thing. Again, I'm 40 years old. I'm a father. I have kids. But here's the thing. I am just stupid and white trash enough. And this is the thing. And I'm not saying this that tough because I'm fat and out of shape and old, but I've probably been in a lot more fist fights than the average person, just growing up super white trash and always getting into fist fights and just being a stupid kid, when I was younger, skateboarder and all that stuff. I've been in a lot of fist fights, but it's been a long time. And all this Nazi shit is just getting me really horned up for violence. And I'm trying to fucking uppercut someone this year. It's been way too long. I've been hitting the heavy bag. I'm just getting ready to beat the shit out of some Nazis.
It's just it's just in it. Everybody's got it in their blood now, and they're just yep, you know what, we're done arguing. I saw a bunch of them get chased out of Cincinnati the other day. It's just it just riles you up. It's got you going.
Oh yeah. But I'm gonna be down there like a windmill, just a windmill full of fists and feet and fingernails.
Just take the Lisa Simpson approach and start.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna start swinging, and if you get hit, it's your fault.
All right. Yes. So probably on patreon.com, I'll do the Sonic the Hedgehog rings edit. That's something I'll put up on Patreon only. How about that?
I like that. That.
But on the also on the Patreon, you get reviews and recos. I've been pumping out recos pretty much every other couple days because I had a buildup of too many movies. So now I got a bunch out there. So you can read my take on Nosferatu. You can read about Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In. I'll have Heretic and another movie that came out recently called Roxana. I have those coming up. So you have all those to read. You got the Discord. You can jump on here. You can see a bunch of memes as we chat online. Everybody can jump into live episodes and interact with us. And on top of it all, as Brian said, in March, we have a brand new series starting. So we've done Family is Forever, our Fast and the Furious series watch. We've done Youth Group is Forever, which is where we watch a bunch of shitty Christian horror films and bag on them for being bad at filmmaking and bad at spreading their message. They're bad at both. They're terrible. And the message is also bad.
Almost always they honestly, I don't want to say without exception, but certainly the vast majority of them self-own themselves so hard.
Yeah.
I love it.
The only one that doesn't is that one by that like hardcore evangelical Baptist.
Where it's just him talking at the camera half the time. Yeah. That one was fucking wild though. But honestly, that's the only one where he's just like, I'm crazy and deal with it. Like, and you're like, I don't know, bud. You seem at least self-aware about your craziness.
He's like, I'm crazy and this is what hell looks like and you're gonna go there. It's like, all right, well, at least you got your fucking message, in line.
I don't agree with you, but yeah, you were super clear about it.
Yeah, good presentation, bud.
Yeah.
And then so March we have our brand new series starting, but I can't reveal it just yet because I'm gonna reveal it to Brian on our final episode of Youth Group is Forever, and then we'll talk about the movies that we have coming up. But I think Brian is really going to enjoy me taking over this new series and being the chairman of the pod for a bit.
Oh no, he keeps giving these cryptic hints and I don't know what they mean. I'm terrified. I've done some bad things to Steve, in revenge, but now it's a cycle, right? It's a vicious cycle of revenge. So I'm terrified, but we shall see. Go on over to patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. Give us $5 a month. We appreciate it. And then if you like the podcast and you like listening to us talk, you get like 3 extra hours a fucking month. Plus you can join us here in the Discord as we record all of our episodes, including the Patreon and the normal show as well. So it's a lot of fun. And we love having people here in the Discord. Dan's with us now, currently per usual. And it's always fun. The more the merrier here in the Discord. All right. Beers. Yeah. Let's talk about beers.
Sure.
Ian's got some beers you're drinking, and we're recording this on a Saturday night before it is released on Monday. So your boy's getting after a couple beers. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl, so I'm not going crazy because I am going to a Super Bowl party tomorrow night. So I am going to probably drink a couple, 2-3 beers there. Yeah. Steve, you want to go first? What do you want? You want to tell us what you're drinking on?
Sure, why not? I got something. It's not a beer. It's a cider, and I've had it on the show. I've had it on the show before. It's from our local cider house, Arsenal Cider House. It's their ginger event blend. It's probably like my favorite. It's my
me too.
It's my favorite non-costly thing they put out because it's only like $4 a can. Whereas like they put out some really good premium stuff like the Fighting Elk, which is a 10% super dry cider that is, but it's like $20 and you can only buy a big bottle. This is just like a little can. But I thought I should bring this on because 2 things. One, the Arsenal logo has some 6-shooters in it.
It sure does. I was going to say it's very reminiscent of the font in the in the intro of this movie.
Yeah, and cider rhymes with rider.
It does. It does. You're very correct about that.
Yes.
I have come to really, and I always have, but in recent years, I've come to appreciate how lucky we are to have a cidery as good as Arsenal around here that makes a lot of good stuff. Like people don't really they've been around a long time and they always get a lot of play. Because they're really the only local cider spot that has their stuff on tap. So if there's like a local cider on tap, it's usually Arsenal. And man, it's just fucking good. It's just fucking good, especially that ginger one. You and me both love some ginger in pretty much anything. And shout out to Arsenal. They don't. We drink the stuff on the podcast, but we don't really. I don't know. Tout them enough. I don't know. They're fucking good. And they've been around a long time. They've been at it a long time.
Yeah. I've always loved Arsenal at a beer fest because it's such a great palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Like you just clean up your tongue a little bit after, especially for me, considering I drink nothing but fucking gloop glop and sticky tar. So, a little fruity tongue cleaner is, always appreciated.
God damn. I love a cider. Love an Arsenal. Ian, you're in freaking cider capital of the country out there.
Yeah.
So give us which one should we be seeking out from your neck of the woods?
Oh my gosh,
are you a cider drinker?
Yeah, I love cider. I love really dry ciders. I think Yonder is probably our go-to in this household, but Schilling is on tap like everywhere out here, and they have just such a wide variety of stuff. But it seems like they pop up in all the bars now, so that's really nice. But I'm always just grabbing like small craft things, especially when I go to like smaller towns. If there's something at the local grocery store that I've never seen, like I'll just pick up a bottle and leave it in our cooler for a while. Like there's so many good ciders out here because we have so many apples. Like Washington is the apple capital of the world. Even though
it's the apple capital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so like it seems like everybody's making something, but there's Teton, which is really good. Yeah, just so many small cideries, and it feels like a lot of people just know how to do that. I myself am actually drinking and I didn't mean to make this joke, but since we're making short jokes about Danzig, I'm drinking a Petite Syrah tonight. Petite to go along with Danzig. It's strong on the cherry notes. It's from California. It's called Kaleidoscope, and it was one of those like buy 6 bottles get a deal kind of things. A variety of wines, and this happens to be one of them.
Nice. Guys, I followed your lead here. I am drinking...
Oh, yes.
You can see that.
Look at that.
Little Nader, because it was a short joke for Glenn Danzig. So we're piling on his ass from one of my favorite regional breweries here in Pennsylvania, Trogs. Trogs, everything they make is good, as far as I'm concerned. Well, I won't say everything. There's a couple of them that don't, but 99% of the things that Trogs makes, in my opinion, is very, very good. And they have a beer called Troganator, which is their Doppelbock, which is fantastic, really drinkable. To call it a Doppelbock sessionable would be, kind of out of the ordinary, but it is. It's dry. It's not insanely high ABV, but they do a style that you just don't see a lot of people doing, which is just a traditional Bock beer, right? Which is essentially like a moderate ABV, let's say 5.5 to 6.5% Bock beer. So, Doppelbock means double Bock. This is just a standard, style Bock beer. And it's just kind of like a nice, I think this is 5.5%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5.5%, slightly caramely, little bit of hop character to it. Just really nice, drinkable, springtime amber lager. And not enough people brew Bock beers. It's like Penn and like Shiner Bock, obviously a lot of people know, which that's like much lighter kind of, but I don't dislike Shiner Bock, but this is a much like richer, more malt complex experience than that. And I fucking love this beer, but I've got a couple on as well. I got some Prima Pills here, which is a perennial favorite. And then this is a new one I'm going to jump into here in a second. I was looking for, I've heard really good things about New Trail has an Irish red ale. And I'm a bit of a sucker for an Irish red ale. I just like a nice drinkable amber beer, right?
Yeah.
And I went down to JR's, and they didn't have it in yet, or maybe it was even sold out already. But I grabbed Fatheads has an Irish red this year, so I'm gonna try Fatheads Irish red ale because 'tis the season, almost kind of.
I think this year is the return of the Irish red ale. Everybody's seen.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Guinness is like absolutely, for those of you who are beer adjacent or work in the beer industry, Guinness is experiencing this huge resurgence right now.
Yeah. What's
insane resurgence. Like people can't even keep it on draft. Like for whatever reason, like the younger crowd, the Gen Z crowd is really embraced Guinness, which I love a Guinness, so I'm all about it.
Yeah.
But Guinness is like experiencing this huge boom right now, and I think some of the just Irish beer, other Irish beer styles, and just import beers as well is just kind of like riding that coattails, which cool. I like to hear it.
I mean, I can understand why Guinness kind of would appeal to that younger crowd because the younger crowd probably finally has broken past the mythos of every old person you talking to. they'll tell you, oh, Guinness is too thick, it's too heavy, it makes you fat. And it's like, no, Guinness is actually kind of less in calories, and it's the same ABV. It's still 4.3. So
yeah,
you take
it's actually like 4.1. It's slightly lower ABV than Miller Lite, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's pretty much almost the same, but most people were surprised to hear that.
Yeah. So you take all that, you add a little bit of chocolate flavor, and then you remove the harshness of carbonation. Carbonation is like bad. Like, I think a lot of people are like turning against carbonation. And so like
it's
just
a big trend with the what is the new thing that everybody's going crazy about? The spiked refreshers.
Yeah.
You know,
all those
like,
RTDs aren't carbonated anymore. Like they don't. Yeah.
The Happy Thursdays and stuff of the world, right? Like the Gen Z crowd doesn't like carbonation, which I'm the opposite. I love, I still drink LaCroix every day, which is like a total boomer move, I know, but I love I love that stuff. But yeah, you're right. Like I actually didn't think about that. That might be one of the reasons why they love it so much too, is because it's very low carbonation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Maybe cask beer will come back. Oh my God!
Really?
It's not. Don't even tempt me.
Misprint. So somewhere fucking somebody at Piper's Pubs, their ears just perked up. Like
yeah.
The whispers of real ale on
Hart
the wind.
And Drew all of a sudden were like, wait a second, did somebody just put up the fucking bat signal?
Somebody said real ale. Real ale.
All right, let's get that son of a bitchin' spinny ass wheel out here, guys. We're going to spin this thing 3 times. It's going to give us 3 potential showdown topics for the month of March. And then y'all are going to get the opportunity to vote if you follow us over on the social medias. And if you're part of the Discord, or if you're part of the Patreon, you could be on the Discord, but also you get an opportunity to get 2 votes as well. So let's spin that wheel and let's see what comes up for March, the first of 3. And we landed on horror on the battlefield. Oh,
this is
nice.
new. We haven't done this before.
Ooh.
We have not done this before. I like this a lot. I'm trying to think what horror on the battlefield. I mean, I immediately went to A Field in England, which we've already done on the show.
Yep.
So that one will be off the table. But what else? Have we done Dog Soldiers?
We haven't done Dog Soldiers.
So Dog Soldier, yeah.
Overlord, Frankenstein's Army, and
sure.
To keep it relevant,
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. To keep it relevant to last week, though, both Jacob's Ladders.
Of course.
Would you consider the keep a part of that? Would the keep qualify since it's people?
100%.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't we done the keep?
No, we haven't. We just talked about it. We talked about it one week when, like, because it hit streaming, and I think we were both maybe watching it that week, but we haven't. We haven't done it.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
that's such a weird. Awesome
just got
movie.
a new 4K release. It's relevant, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why we were talking about it. Is like it got the new release, and we're probably talking about it because of that.
I love that movie. It's so fucking weird. All right, horror on the battlefield. That's exciting. All right, what's next? Spinning that wheel. Let's see what comes up. Number 2 is
religious horror.
This is a fan favorite. We have done this before, but I think it was honestly, we had a stacked list of movies we talked about. I remember, I think I did Exorcist 3, perhaps. I don't remember, but that was a stacked one. Ooh, and last but certainly not least, Victorian horror. Mm-hmm. So we've got a few different ones that lend themselves to some potential period pieces, if you will. Speaking of vampires, Victorian horror, we definitely go down that path. All right, so once again, let's round it up. These are your options for the lovely month of March. You get an opportunity to vote for horror on the battlefield, religious horror, which would be bringing one back around that we've done before, but I think a welcomed one, or Victorian horror. So that'll be real fun, guys. Let's go over on the social medias and vote for one of those. Usually we pop that out on the social medias like midweek, right? So this will release on Monday. Look for it on Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Okie dokie. Anything else before we get into this piece of garbage?
You mean piece of gabagage.
We're talking because, of course, guys, this was directed and I venture to say
edited,
that
cinematographed by
also co-starring. No, he's a supporting role, but the Gabagool himself, one Mr. Glenn Danzig. So Death Rider in the House of the Vampires. First time watch for me. Ian, first time watch for you, I think too,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Steve, did you see this before? I mean, did you watch it before you threw it out there, or did you just know how notoriously weird and fucking dumb it was and picked it?
I mean, it was a simple guess because we had done Veronica in the past. I knew he wasn't going to improve that much, but I did see the Red Letter Media episode that they did on this film. And so, they do play some clips and they, point out stuff as well. But still, you have to see it for yourself to see it happen in action.
Yeah, you do. It is a curious little ditty, we will say. I'm going to throw out just my overall estimation of this movie right off the bat because we've already kind of spoiler. It's not good, but this movie feels both simultaneously lazy and unfinished.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which would lead me to believe that especially the second is true because you can't really find this movie anywhere. We talked about how this movie really at this point, the only place you can find it, I mean, it's not streaming anywhere. You can't buy digital copies of it. You pretty much have to buy a copy from the Gabagool himself at like a con or at, if you run into him at Safeway, like that's really the only way you can get a copy of this movie right now. Of course, there are internet ways you can be, get into internet mischief and find it that way.
Sure.
But this is hard to find, and I would venture to say that it's probably not because he's waiting for someone to, pick it up into distribution. I have a feeling it's more because it's fucking incomplete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because if you go on the Death Rider FAQ on deathridermovie.com,
sure,
it says that it's now streaming, but he doesn't tell you where. But then in the next question, it says, is Death Rider in the House of Vampires available on DVD Blu-ray? And he says it's not yet available on DVD or VOD, which is video on demand, which is streaming.
Yeah.
Right. What the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't think that Glenn knows what those words mean. He hears an acronym. He just sees red. He just wants to fight somebody because he's like, you talking to me like I'm stupid? So I don't think he knows what those things are. I would venture to say that, well, obviously that website is unreliable. And also, I'm sure has not been updated since it was published.
Yeah. I don't know where you find it, actually, because it says it's streaming, but it doesn't say where. But it's put out by... apparently, it's distributed by Atlas Entertainment and Cleopatra Entertainment. Cleopatra Entertainment is a pretty infamous, purveyor in garbage. So, yeah.
Well, I will say one other thing about this movie, and just like overall, there's some wild lighting decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it is almost on par with the Rob Zombie Monsters movie in the just absolute insanity of the lighting. I would say certainly not as well done as that, but it is as audacious, I would say, as that in terms of its lighting decisions. Steve, I know you're a bit of a lighting snob and you get upset with movies, when they have poor lighting. How would you characterize this?
Before we started recording, we were talking about how this looks like it was done for somebody's school project.
Mm-hmm.
And
I forgot that was off air.
yeah, that was off air, but it's worth noting on air because boy, oh boy, he has a lot of strong, motivated lighting and unmotivated lighting, and they're all colored gels. And it looks exactly like my student film. Like, I have a lot of those scenes myself. But also, it looks kind of similar to what we talked about last week with the Night of the Demons remake, where they also have like a lot of the colored gels and everything. But Night of the Demons also knows to put like an actual key light out there of like neutral color, so you can see people's faces. In this film, you can't see anybody's face. You can only see dark purples and blacks.
Yeah. And also that a lot of that movie, at least, took place at a Halloween party or in a house where a Halloween party was happening. This movie's in the Wild West.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I don't know. I there's actually a lot of question as to when this was supposed to be set. But if I had to guess, you know, you're thinking somewhere in the, you know, middle part of the 19th century, probably, right?
Sure.
And you know, Halloween decorations hanging up with crazy gel lights should not be there.
Shouldn't be, but you can do that stylized lighting if you want, but the rest of the movie has to be good. And you know, I think so. My first note on this film is, if Glenn Danzig had any amount of talent, he could be our next Russ Meyer, because he loves camp and dumb shit, and he also loves big bimbo tits.
Oh,
like
loves it.
Those are two things he loves, and he could be the next Russ Meyer if he had any talent, but he doesn't. He's literally just your uncle who loves spooky Halloween decorations and big bimbo tits. There's no deeper thought or, you know, sleaze or like artistry to it. It's just like, I know these girls from the movies I watch, and the movies that I watch that had the girls in it, I bring them on, and then I act, and then I get X-Pac and he acts, and then I was on that Portlandia, and that Fruit Fred Armisen, he comes on the movie too. So yeah, it all works out.
Yeah, I imagine that he is the type of guy that still calls, because Veronica for sure, he uses, you know, a lot of like porn actresses, adult performers in his movies.
Yeah.
I imagine he still calls porn stag films. Like just colloquially from New Jersey goes, hey, yeah, I met her. She was in one of them stag movies.
Again, almost a Russ Meyer type, but like, you just know, like, in his house, his collection of stag films on 8mm and 16mm, they're not preserved on like a metal shelf that is like, you know, pristine and everything. They're literally in just like a wet box that like he just sits in the corner, like they're just stacked up in like wet cardboard boxes.
Well, because when his buddies come over, they got to watch them. That's what you do. You watch stag films with your buddies. He's from that generation where the most fun thing you could do was sit around and get a boner with your buddies. Let's all sit around and watch porn together and laugh and drink and slap each other's ass, and you know, don't stand up because we all have boners. Like that was that's his generation.
Yep.
Doyle, don't look at my boner while I'm having a boner and you have a boner.
Jerry, I like how when I do my Glenn Danzig impression, it's half Doyle. First of all, it's not even Danzig. It's half Doyle, because if you ever heard Doyle talk, he's honest to God, and come from a place of love. I grew up, there were years of my life where I almost exclusively listened to the Misfits and Danzig and Sam Hain. Like, I'm a genuine fan of his music, so I won't even front here. But if you've heard Doyle talk, he's crazy stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dumb as a fucking box of rocks. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
So my impression of Danzig is half Doyle, half Gary Marshall for whatever reason. I don't know why. That's what I think. I slip between Doyle and Gary Marshall when I'm talking about him.
Yeah. Doyle rolls, though. Just to go down a
he
Doyle.
Does. He's
Doyle
great,
lane for a second.
But he's just like, he's so stupid. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's a giant meathead. He got to throw clotheslines in WCW, which he probably thought was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Like the last time I heard, I don't know if it's still true, but like the last time I heard, he was dating the lead singer of this band, The Agonist, and she's like half his age, and like this, just really incredibly hot vegan girl. And he is, of course, just this 6'6" old nitwit who doesn't actually have any musicality. He's on record as saying like he doesn't know how to play the guitar. He only knows how to play Misfit songs. Like,
yeah,
he knows
like
to,
5 chords.
Yeah,
and that's it. And that's all. I remember when I first started learning guitar when I was 12 or 13, and that was when and the reason I learned the guitar is because I could immediately play every Misfit song. It's just a few power chords. It's the easiest thing in the world. I remember the first day I picked up a guitar. I didn't even own a guitar. I was playing not Teenagers from Mars. Like it's literally 10 minutes. Anybody can play half of their catalog. But listen, he's a good-looking guy. He's giant and jacked, and he's seems kind of cool. So good for him. He's doing the best with. I mean, he is maximizing what nature gave him, and good for him. If I was 6'6" and jacked,
yeah,
I'd probably
the doors that can open for you.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, so luckily Doyle is not making any movies. Unfortunately, Glenn is. The early, like the first 5 minutes of this movie. Okay, so nothing happens, which is not surprising. It's just a slow trotting scene of a guy. We should mention Devon Sawa, which my wife immediately, she was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing on the podcast this weekend?" I was like, "Oh my God, it's this Danzig movie." I was like, "But it stars Devon Sawa," and she was like, "Oh, really? I'd watch that." Like, she's got an absolute hard on for Devon Sawa.
Sure.
And I was like, no, there's nothing that could make you enjoy this movie. I promise you. But he's just walking, he's just riding a horse through the desert.
He's not
with a woman.
Yeah. For like the first 15 minutes, they're just on horseback with the topless woman. Yeah.
He's riding a horse. There's a woman. Now, and I don't know if it's him riding the horse or not. It's probably not. But he's got, because it's it's a masked gentleman, desperado kind of looking. Imagine goth desperado, which should be, I would imagine it's a subgenre of music. It's goth desperado. Through the desert, through a bizarrely lit desert, and behind him is another horse with a woman that appears to be there against her will, and she is of course topless. So this is the most predictable beginning of this movie ever. But we've got a Danzig track early on, which not a track I'm familiar with. I assume it was recorded for this movie.
Yeah. Because it's literally, the movie starts as dumb guy as possible because it starts with big bimbo tits and a song that tells you exactly what's happening on screen as you watch it. It's just Danzig going, "And the death rider rides his horse with his big titty lady in the desert. They're on a horse. Death rider."
Yeah. He's just crooning, just giving us that classic Danzig croon, which, listen, I'm a sucker for, but the track is garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage because it's about the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like the mixing, everything's bad. It's very rushed.
Yeah.
But at least I was like, hey, we're going to get some like Danzig, crooning throughout this movie. No, we don't. We never get another Danzig track the whole movie, which is wild to me. In fact, and this will be there's not much story to talk about. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, these guys haven't even gotten into the story. Guys, the whole story can be summed up in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But the one of the most bizarre things about this movie, and the thing that hurts it horribly, is there's almost no soundtrack.
Yeah, it's insane. It's the one thing you think he would be really meticulous about and want to get correctly is a proper sound design or proper sound mix and proper score. And he just doesn't even do it. And whoever he hired, there's a lot of incompetencies on this movie, but whoever he hired to do his sound design is probably like, you should never work. Like, should not work. They should go back to whatever factory they were in and stop doing fucking sound design.
Here's my example of this. And I don't want to belabor the sound because honestly, I feel like we could do an entire episode of how bad the sound is in this movie. But I swear to God, you can hear people's like joints crack, but you can't hear the words they say. But there's one time where you cannot hear the dialogue to save your life, but then a woman scratches her nails along the wall and it's deafening.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. It's all that you hear.
It's the most insanely incompetent sound mixing of which is none of this will be surprising if you just saw the movie, but it is. Yeah. I feel like if I don't just get this out in the open right now, I'm going to spend 45 minutes talking about how fucking insane the sound is in this movie.
I'm still going to bring it up in parts because it's literally like the standout of.
Some of it is actually really comical too. Like I got a couple like laugh out loud moments from the sound. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, the sound is not the most bizarre thing about the movie though. The cinematography. We talked about this before we started recording. We just couldn't help ourselves. This feels like it was Glenn's final project in his cinematography class because he's doing so much with the camera.
Yeah.
The amount of zooms in this fucking movie.
Did anybody else get fucking motion sick watching this film? Because I did. I got motion sick. I was like, I didn't know I had to take diazepam to watch the second feature from Glenn Danzig.
Yeah, and you would say to yourself, "Oh, it must be a found footage." No, sir.
Nope.
It is just long, drawn out shots of him zooming slowly and then zooming quick, and it's like he is trying to give you like whiplash, like, or he's trying to give you vertigo somehow.
Yeah, it's like seasickness because it's not just that it's zooming in and zooming out. Like it's also the camera readjusts. So like they'll zoom in for like 3 seconds and then realize that they lost the frame that they were supposed to have, readjust the camera and then continue to zoom in and then zoom out. But it's all in like, even though you said it goes quick sometimes, it's never like a snap zoom. So it always has kind of like a motion to it. Even when there's a scene where it should be a snap zoom or a punch in, when we first have the Death Rider meet Danny Trejo's, vampire character, there's a scene where you get the framing of Devon Sawa's eyes because he still has his mask up and his hat down, and we're like, oh, who is this mysterious character? And they do a zoom in on his eyes, and that's supposed to be a punch zoom of like, here it fucking comes, Danny Trejo, you fucked with the wrong one.
Like you would imagine there was going to be a music sting at that moment.
Yeah, there should be a sting with it as well, but instead it's just like a we'll get you.
It's so strange, and I'm glad. Like so immediately. Again, you guys both are probably a lot more well versed in the cinematography, like the technicalities of this. But I feel like I got what he was going for, but it was horribly executed. Like having a person who's I've seen so many freaking spaghetti westerns and stuff like I do genuinely love those movies. That type of zoom, especially from a distance, like I can imagine the shot that he was going for, but was it that he didn't know how to execute it, or was it that the technology was different than it was in those, late 60s, 70s spaghetti westerns, that it just didn't land the same? Like, because I did get the feeling I knew what he was going for. It was just he wasn't pulling it off.
I think if it had been edited properly, this would not be a feature-length film, right? Like we were saying, this should be about 35 minutes long. So if you did like the cuts the right way and took out some of those odd zooms with the bad focus pulls, and you weren't including all the shots that break the 180 rule and whatnot, but also to your point, like I think he did think he knew what he was trying to do with getting the shot, but he did not know how to edit it together to make it into what he was hoping for.
You're probably right. Like I just imagine like some of the things where he was wide and then he kind of came as the characters were coming towards him. I was like, okay, I kind of that it feels like he's going for this like Sergio Leone type of shot, but he doesn't know how to actually execute it.
Yeah. Because the other part of it is like he has no concept of blocking, and when he is filming scenes, he almost never starts on a wide and does a 2-shot, and that's possibly because like he just didn't even have the same characters. Like Devon Sawa almost never appears in frame with another character.
That's
like,
true. Yeah,
it happens so many times. Like when he first meets the one madam or mistress vampire, Carmilla or whatever.
Yeah, the redhead.
Yeah, the two of them never appear in the same frame together. Like he is standing in the doorway and she is
during the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's in a completely other side of the room. So like he doesn't establish the space that they're in. And he is just talking to her. And then because he has nowhere to go is what it really boils down to. Because you start on a wide and then you break down the mediums and then you get to the close-ups for the impactful moments. Because he starts on the mediums, he can only zoom into close-ups or move out. And he doesn't have the creativity to shoot around the room maybe and pick up other visual things for us to look at, like visual cues that the writer is, a killer, or the trophies that what her name is, Carmilla,
Carmilla, something like that.
Well, all of the vampires are named after like famous vampires with slight changes, right? There's Mina Bell, who's a reference to Dracula. Carmilla, who's a reference to Carmella. His character Bathory, who's a reference to Elizabeth Bathory. So,
right, and there are also references to Old West folk heroes as well. I don't know all of them, but like one of them is like Kid Vlad or whatever. So it's like Billy the Kid, and Count Holiday, played by Julian Sands. So that's Doc Holiday. So
that's right.
It's I love. Did you guys happen to look up what Danny Trejo's character? I mean, he's only on screen for a couple minutes. What his character's name was?
It's Bella Latigo.
Yeah, Bella, obviously Bella Lugosi, but Latigo, I don't know who that's a reference to, but it translates in Spanish to whip, like a whip crack,
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the reference there is, but
there is an Old West film from the 70s called El Latigo, which is a guy fighting crime with a whip. So it's probably a reference to that.
And you say that Danny Trejo's character is not on the screen very long, but he lays on the ground and screams at Devon Sawa for what feels like 10 minutes, even though it is only a cameo in the film.
It's true. It's a wild, unbelievably poorly executed sequence, I guess, because he comes on threatening, and then we learn that Death Rider is very fast, which at that point we don't know that he's also a vampire, so fine, whatever. But then he ties him up, and this is not Danny Trejo's best acting effort. He is really phoning it in. Like, you could tell they were like, we'll pay you for a half a day. And he was like, all right, you cheap fucks, you're getting half effort then.
Right.
Because as much as I like Danny Trejo, he's become a bit of a cameo expert, right? He shows up in a lot of movies like this. This is got to be the worst effort I've ever seen him give.
I'm trying to think, like, there's other movies he's been in that I haven't watched simply because, like, why would I? Like, he made those series of films that was based off that old guy who got in a fight on a bus. Do you remember that?
I'm just thinking of Machete, but it's not. That's not what you're talking about, is it?
No. So I think it was pre-2015 even, but there was this viral video of this old guy. He was like a homeless vet, and he got in a fight with this dude on a bus who was fucking with him. and he just two-pieced this guy, beat the shit out of him on a bus and everything. And then so they made this Ron in the Discord has the guy's name, Epic Beard Guy, but they made that's what the meme was called. But they made these series of movies. Oh my god,
I do remember now. This was blast from the past. Yeah, I just got a little random deja vu when he said when I saw Epic Beard Guy. I was like, I remember this this was like, I remember like downloading this on like early YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's way old. And then he made these series of movies called the Badass films.
Yeah.
That
somebody called the amp lamps. This motherfucker's leaking.
Yeah, he's leaking. He's leaking.
He's leaking. Call the amp lamps. He's leaking.
I've never watched any of those films. I can't imagine his performance being much better than this, though.
I have not thought about that in 10 years. Thank you, Ron, for that. Yeah, when you said amp lamps, call the amp lamps. He's leaking. I forgot about that.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's funny.
Badass 2, Badasses, starring Danny Trejo as the titular badass and Danny Glover as Badass 2.
Oh, no.
20 and 14. Go check that out.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I mean, he phoned this one in pretty hard. But you know what? Do it. You know what I mean? Come take some of Glenn's money, get it for a half day's work, and just fuck off the set. Grab a handful of granola bars on your way out, and just fucking bail. Right?
Get some crafty and head on home.
Yeah. Also, I do love that this is a movie that he's obviously not pleased with because it's not available anywhere, but he's still above the line. Which is great. He's still above the title. Glenn Danzig's.
I mean, he still credits himself on everything, even the things that like he shouldn't take credit on. He shouldn't just like say he was the cinematographer and shouldn't say that he credits himself as doing the score. And it's like, Glenn, there's no score. What are you talking about? Don't do that.
Yeah, there's so little. There's so little. It seems completely just incomplete. But to be fair, he's the only reason we watch this movie.
Right. Yeah.
If his name wasn't on it, we would never, or he wasn't on screen, we would never have watched this movie in a million years.
No, we wouldn't give a shit. Like, if it wasn't for Glenn, we wouldn't give a shit. But it's because he already not necessarily built goodwill with Veronica, because he didn't build goodwill with Veronica. He made an insanely bad movie that has some fun ideas and, again, casts adult film actresses in serious roles, which I gotta tell you, I'm kind of in love with the one that shows up in both movies now. Because
the blonde one?
Yeah, the one that plays Mina Bell, because she is actually trying. She tries so hard in both movies, and it's crazy.
She does.
Yeah.
She's not a good actor, but she's trying, which is more than you can say for 2/3 of the people in the movie.
So my question is, and I just don't know, and it's got it. I've narrowed it down to one of two things. Either she is to Glenn Danzig what Sherry Moon is to Rob Zombie, or she's X-Pac's girlfriend, but Glenn just happens to have watched a lot of her movies. So Glenn hires her, but X-Pac comes along. Like they're a package deal. So X-Pac gets to be in both those movies as well. Either way, I haven't figured it out, but it's just so funny because she actually kind of deserves a better director, because she's a campy big bimbo, actress.
Yeah.
And like, that's what she plays in both of these movies.
Yeah.
But like, she also tries. She does accents in both of them. In this one, she does the Old West, old timey accent.
Sure.
And then in Veronica, she does like that terrible French accent. And she's just so charming. Like, I can't tell you. It's just
I don't know. I do like her on screen. It might have just been like, hey, she'd show up, she'd be there, and like, I imagine he's not paying a ton for these movies, and Veronica got some eyes on it, so she's trying to get herself out there, and if so, good for her. But yeah, it does seem like the guys involved here, which also you call him X-Pac. We're talking about Sean Waltman. By the way, he's still the 1, 2, 3 kid to me, and he always will be.
Yeah.
All his best matches were as the 1, 2, 3 kid. Yeah, I could see it go either way. So I don't want to speculate, but I could see it go either way. But yeah, I don't mind her on screen at all. I would say between her, well, we'll get into it a little bit. There's a couple other people that I do appreciate seeing on screen, and honestly, spoiler alert, Glenn's one of them. I like him on screen.
Right?
I like him on screen, dude.
What a shock!
Dude, he's actually good on screen. Honestly, give up the filmmaking. I'm burying the lead a little bit. Glenn, give up the filmmaking. Let's just see more Glenn as a performer. I think he can pull it off.
Yeah. Again, with the right director, which is not himself.
Right.
Exactly.
You might be able to get a pretty decent, performance out of him.
Yeah, I could. I was going to say just a second ago, I was going to say, yeah, get him in a Rob Zombie film. But then I was like, no, they would. I do not think that they would get along. Nah, no. too. Yeah, I do not think Glenn could stand to play second fiddle to Rob on set. No. To our old boy Bobby Zed. I think they would come to blows. But yeah, the other thing that I really, really like about this movie and Glenn's we'll put a pin in it because there's a couple other things that I want to talk about first. The dialogue is atrocious.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bobby Zed, this makes his dialogue, which is notoriously bad, this makes his dialogue feel like Glengarry Glen Ross. Like, it's fucking unbelievably bad. Like, the dialogue at the vampire church when he first comes up, it feels, if you would have said to them, oh, Glenn didn't write us lines, they just had to improvise, I would be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Mm-hmm. Nothing feels beyond improvisation.
No, it doesn't. Nothing feels beyond just the stock standard of it all feels like first draft. It all feels, just the stock standard things you would say. And that's just because Glenn wrote it. It was never taken a pass at by somebody who has experience. It was never taken a pass at by somebody doing a punch up on punchlines or anything. Yeah. And he didn't have anybody to give him notes of can we rephrase this? Hey, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, he did. He wrote the it felt like he wrote the dialogue just to get from point A to point B to point C in terms of set pieces. And it really feels like he was more focused on the production, right? Because he took all this on himself. So he's more focused on the production, and the script just came secondarily. And again, he probably wanted to or meant to hire someone to kind of punch up the script, and just that didn't happen. So he's just like, we're going to go with what I got. That's fine. Because he's more nerding out on the cinematography. He's all focused on all the set design and all this stuff. And then the script is just painful as a result because it just didn't get the attention.
Two things on that. So first of all, the vampire hideout is called Sanctuary, and nothing happens in there but people dying. So there's no safety there at all, which really bothered me. And the second thing is, do you think he wrote all of this dialogue phonetically? Because the accents, is this a Stephen King when he's writing a character from Maine? If you look at the script,
he definitely wrote it phonetically for some of the actors, because boy are some of them not English as their first language, which is fine, but he makes them speak English anyway.
Yeah, he makes them speak New Jersey English.
Yeah
in the Wild West.
In the Wild West. The Wild West of New Jersey.
Yeah
oh
my.
Also, Ian, I think you misunderstand. It's not sanctuary for people. It's sanctuary for vampires.
But all the vampires are just getting filled with liquid silver and melted in front of
Constantly.
All the vampires are dying constantly.
I love that it's hard to get into sanctuary. You have to bring a very special offering. You have to go jump through all these hoops to come into sanctuary, and 90% of the vampires that I've seen in Sanctuary end up dead. And also, it seems to be a non-issue for a lot of the human employees of Sanctuary. They're just like, another 20 dead vampires. It's like, Sanctuary is the most risky place in the world for vampires.
Well, okay, didn't you guys see all the signs that say turn back at the beginning? There's at least 30 of them. Also,
I took that as those are
zombies. Yeah.
I took that as that was warning for the humans to stay away. But it really, in retrospect, it's also for the vampires. Yeah,
it's also a warning for anybody that might have looked at the script or eventually ended up watching this film.
Yeah, he literally gives you 13.
There's like 15 minutes before the movie starts that are just like, don't do this. Go away.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is a real fourth wall breaking situation. It's the movie telling you to shut it off.
It's the most meta cold open there's ever been. It will never improve beyond big titty lady on a horse. Do not continue. Do not go past this.
Stop. Press stop. Turn the television off.
We'll include a gaffing guffaw right off the bat and just make this desert look green.
Green and also sometimes purple. It just feels like a Halloween party, which again I love, but it's just it's like if I was woken out of a dead sleep and go, get up, you're lighting this set, and I'd be like, I never did, I don't know. That's what I would do. I would get all my Halloween decorations and start, that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. It's not even that they give you a proper lighting kit. It's just like,
no, I gotta go get my blow molds. Yeah, I gotta go get my blow molds and try to figure out how to light this set.
I hear orange and teal is popular right now.
Yeah, so it's hot in the streets.
You're using the lights inside of your blow up decorations.
Yeah. They're like, what's that fan noise? It's like, that's my giant Frankenstein. He's lighting the whole set.
I only had a black light and a green strobe light from Spirit.
Oh yeah, all of my equipment is from Spirit. This movie has, maybe more than any movie we've ever talked about, the least actually happen too.
Oh God, it's so boring.
When I was going through this, I did find myself like doing the jump forward 30 seconds thing and then going like, oh my God, I missed nothing. For a minute and a half, I missed nothing.
Yeah.
It's so much of the just, again, it's the zoom in, zoom out and not breaking in the edit. So it's like you watch this entire zoom in and then they zoom all the way back out to the original position. And then maybe they'll zoom back in and fuck up the focus and you go, oh, okay. But then you have to watch the entire thing play out.
Yeah.
Cut to something else and then cut back to that same exact action happening on the second take. And you're just like, what the fuck? Like there's nothing new has happened in the last 30 seconds, like you just said.
Yeah.
So,
no, it'll just be like, we're going to watch somebody come down the stairs, and then we're going to watch them approach the bar. Then we're going to watch them order a drink. Then we're going to watch them drink the drink.
Yeah.
Then we're going to watch a person walk to the person who just drank the drink. Like, it's just like, holy shit.
Oh,
and the opposite of that happens in the climax, where I actually had to go back and watch what happens like 4 times because I thought I missed something that happened because it just happened so quickly.
Yeah,
it gets very confusing too. Yeah, at the end, it just felt like they were like, we got to wrap this up. We're gonna get kicked out of here in 15 minutes. Like, we just need these shots.
We're losing the ghost town for the week. The weekend is starting, and the tours are going to pop up again.
Yeah, the guests
regular day
are
actors
checking
are coming in.
Yeah.
The worst example of this, of like making you watch all of the action, is when they're in Sanctuary and it closes, or it's prepped for the night and all the guests are there and they bring in all of the young girls. And you have to watch the entrance of every single girl off the stagecoach. And it's like, none of them have any lines. None of them are interesting. Just like hurry them up and just like show a couple quick flashes to show that there's a bunch of ladies. But then it ends on this one who just like this bewildered blonde girl who doesn't know where to look as she's walking. It's so funny. Like, she doesn't know what she's supposed to be looking at. She's just looking at everything. And she has kind of like a deer in the headlights look as she looks around the saloon. And it's like, lady, you got to do a different take. You can't do that. We can't use this one. Not this one.
No, they should have done a different take. They didn't. And it's funny because it just reiterates this feeling that the camera is the star of the movie. Like, there's no character that we've been introduced to that we really care about or even know very much about.
Yeah.
Like, and that came to, I'll get into this at the end, but like, I came to the conclusion at the end that like, am I not rooting for Death Rider, I can't really point to anything that would suggest to me that Death Rider is the good guy and anybody else is the bad guy. Not only do we not care about any of the characters, we don't know anything about the characters because their backstory has, of course, not been explained. We don't know why we should like them or dislike them or care about them or not care about them. And, they really haven't done anything. None of the characters have done anything. No. So at the end, when he's battling the Count, we're like, if I came into the middle of this movie, I would, of course, assume the Count is the bad guy. But that person who just came into the movie at the end knows about as much about the characters as I do.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason the Count is a bad guy is because he has kind of a fancy hoity-toity accent.
Yeah, he's British. He has British accent. It's Julian Sands in long black hair. So and he has purple lights behind him. So you can assume that's the bad guy.
It's Julian Sands cosplaying as Severus Snape, and that's why he's bad. He's Snape. He has Snape hair.
Yep, that's it. Which let me throw this out there. Speaking of like the bad script and the way things were written, I think it's very possible that Danzig originally wrote himself in the Count Holiday role, thinking like, I'm going to be the big bad guy at the end of this movie, because there's some things that happen at the end of the movie where like when the Count punches Ryder in the face, and Ryder is like, oh, what'd you hit me with? It felt like a cannon. And the Count has to be like, nothing but my fist, man. And he's like, well, I gotta give it to you on that one. You're so big and strong, Glenn Danzig. You knocked me out with one punch, unlike that video where you got knocked out with one punch.
Remember where not like that time when that other band guy punched you out that was way bigger and stronger than you. Yeah, it did. I could see that. It didn't occur to me during the movie, but yes, I could see Danzig having played that guy, especially because the wig that they gave him is Danzig's hair.
Right. So it's Danzig's hair. And then like he takes, sorry to jump to the end, but like he also takes like he takes bullets right to the head and it is unfazed. So it's a whole lot of like, oh, this is me being bigger and badder than all the other vampires in the Old West. But Danzig then looked at his script and he said, wait a minute. If I play this guy, that means I die in the end. But I have this other character here and he gets to live. And now I'm going to be bad Bathory because I get to live and come back for the sequel.
Yes. Yeah. He was like, I want to be Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like at first he probably wrote himself as the big bad, but then he was like, no, I'm not going to be Darth Vader. I'm going to be the Han Solo. I'm going to be the guy who's like the cool guy, which, to be honest, worked in his favor. Loved him as this character, best character in the movie. And honestly, when he was on screen, That was one of the only times I was paying attention.
Yes.
Even though he struggled a little bit with the fangs, he did not struggle as bad as some of the other people with the fangs.
No.
But it was ultimately a good decision. So I don't fault him in it, I guess. But I can see that being the case.
Yeah, I think it was just like originally when he wrote the script, he's like, I'm going to be the bad guy. But then he saw this other character, and this other character is possible because, like, say he makes a sequel to this, right? And maybe Devon Sawa doesn't come back. Well, maybe he writes the sequel where he's the good guy for whatever reason. Like, he can just write his own anti-hero story of Bad Bathory, and then he gets to be the star with the big lady with the red hair and the big cans. And I ride out in the West with my bats and my big can lady, and I'm the star now. I'm the good guy.
Imagine him sitting down the production meeting for the sequel to this movie, and he's going, all right, guys, the last movie was obviously a cult classic. This time around, I got 2 rules. 1, more boobs. 2, more bats. And that's it. It is just boobs and it honestly would be Death Rider 2 : boobs and bats. Like I can
boobs
see that.
Bats.
Just This movie, though, in all honesty, what was the runtime? It had to be
hour and a half.
Hour and a half. I was going to say hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It would have felt long at half the runtime.
Yeah.
That's how little happens.
Just another note about like when you're talking about how we don't know character motivations. So the film opens, and I'm going to make an analogy to another film, but the film opens very similar to the original Django. And the original Django is a stranger coming to town dragging a coffin behind him. And we don't know what's in the coffin. We don't know any of his motivations or anything like that. But we eventually learn what his motivations are. In this film, he comes to town dragging a woman with chains, and we don't learn anything about him other than he is possibly a vampire, possibly a daywalker, and he has weapons to kill vampires with him.
Yeah.
We don't know why he's going to kill the vampires, though. And it's not until, like, it literally is in the last 5-10 minutes when Julian Sands reveals it to us. And, like, even then, it's still like we're kind of waiting with bated breath as, you know, they reveal that all these vampires killed his sister and probably turned him too. Yeah. A good filmmaker would put in a flashback at some point when he's alone by himself.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, when they introduced her as his sister, I was like, did I miss the sister scene? Was I not paying attention? Did I fast forward through the sister scene?
Nope.
But no,
it's just not there.
I can imagine in the sitting down. And when I say production meeting, I'm talking about they're all sitting around like a boner shaped coffee table doing coke. And then he's just like, should we have a scene setting up that like your maybe your parents died and you had to take care of your little sister and then she got taken and then they took you and all that stuff. And he was like, nah, they've seen Blade. They don't need any of it. Like, you just think that's probably they get it.
There's the slightest of hint that Dennis the Menace and Danzig killed all these deputies and wiped out this other town that they're trying to keep hush hush. But Danzig, in character, literally says, "Hey, let's not talk about the backstory."
Yeah.
So like just shuts down any conversation that might have led us to believe that Ryder is here on some sort of vengeance trip. And like the sister thing is even more confusing because like now he's reunited with his sister. They're both vampires. She needs to be like deprogrammed from the Count's brainwashing or whatever. But why does he kill his sister? Who he's there to, like it just makes even less sense.
Yeah, he's there to save her, but she's only, it's not like she's become evil even necessarily. She's kind of that Bride of Dracula type of look to her. Like she's just wearing the robes and she's kind of a zombie for Dracula at that point. So it's like if he's able to I don't know, maintain some degree of, independence and sanity and understanding that he's just like, nah, fucking, I'm here to kill her. I'm here purely for revenge. There's no salvation. It is 100% for revenge.
Yeah. It's weird that he kills her and doesn't try to save her. But at the same time, like, who cares at that point? Like, we're just, this is,
it's not like we know her and feel for her.
No, not at all.
This is the first time we're seeing her.
Yeah. Just met her.
It's baffling. Bad
the
choices.
scene, honestly, and perhaps I'm stupid, which is entirely possible. But until you said about the scene where he meets the guy who's wearing the Civil War cap and Danzig, until he meets Bad Bathory, and I don't even remember what the Civil War cap guy's name is.
Kid Vlad.
Oh, Kid Vlad. Yeah, that's right. Which I can't think of without thinking of Kid Icarus now. And I'm just like, but until Ryder meets those two and talks about like where he met them from, Ian, until you mentioned that where he would have met them was when they slayed his family, I didn't even make the connection. Like, that's how tenuous it was. It makes sense now. I mean, that's undoubtedly what they were going for, but until you said it, I didn't even make the connection. I was just like, where do they know each other from? I don't fucking know.
Yep.
I just thought it's like Bad Bathory is just like a notorious vampire outlaw, so he knows him from that.
Exactly. Yeah, which, I mean, he is, and so you don't necessarily need more backstory.
Yeah, you don't question it, but okay, that makes sense, but literally didn't even make the connection while I was watching the movie.
Yeah, it was more on, the easy, cheap fix to this is when Devon Sawa is alone in the room by himself for the first time, and he starts looking at all his gear for killing vampires. This is where you would insert in a flashback of him and his sister on their homestead, and then they both get attacked by vampires.
Or
or at
least a picture. He's got a picture at least of the sister.
Yeah.
Or he's got a freaking locket with his picture, something, anything.
Right, and he keeps the picture next to the stakes, and anything for you. But no, you get nothing until the very end when Julian Sand says, "Haha, I killed her, and I keep her, and she's your sister." And you go, "Oh, okay. I guess that's why he's doing all this."
That's what we're doing,
so you're now the first evidence we've learned that you're a bad guy, besides that you're
a bad guy.
Sands.
I gotta say, there's a lot of bad things that happen in this movie, and there's a lot of unfinished things, but the visual effects actually aren't terrible.
It's funny because, and I wrote down that, they first introduced this specific effect that they use during this like scene where, and it makes sense, but so we get introduced to Eli Roth's character, and Eli Roth is kind of I don't know, I guess he's just like a right-hand man of Holiday, of Count Holiday. And they go and they just grab some nameless, red shirt, and they take him downstairs and they say he did a bad thing and he, I don't know, did a thing to vampires. So we're about to do some crazy torture to him. And first of all, I wrote, why is Eli giving him the grand tour? Like he's really acting like he's a VIP, showing him the whole compound. And he really lingered on and was very proud of this particular set piece where they had like molten silver. And they linger on it for a long, long time. Well, you quickly realize in the next scene that why they're doing this is because they're about to do this big scene where they pour molten silver, which silver kills werewolves.
sometimes it kills vampires.
It sometimes kills vampires. Yes, agreed. It sometimes kills vampires, but they make it a huge part of this movie that it kills vampires.
Yeah.
And and I get it. They're trying to make the bullets make more sense, whatever, and why shooting a vampire would make more sense. But they pour it down this guy's throat, and it's this big, I think there actually is, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's a little bit of a mix of practical mixed in with this really CGI heavy thing.
It's actually kind of hard to tell, but it kind of looks like it because of the
eyes, like the way his eyes bulging or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It looks like they did kind of a inflation kind of mask that bulged the eyes and maybe bulged the head. But they could have also just done that all VFX because the eyes do fall into the skull. And so like it's like cartoonish, but also maybe they covered it up with VFX because if they don't have the fire and the burning ember skin and all that stuff happening, I bet that looks fucking stupid as hell if it is practical.
I think it was mostly face mapping done in After Effects. Like, and I mean, they do it a couple of times where I actually think like Mina's death looks pretty good with the face mapping, but I do think that all is done in After Effects.
Yeah, the only one that I got the feeling there might have been some practical laid under it was in the one where they made the random red shirt drink it. But I would say this effect scene, to your point, like it doesn't look terrible, but it is like simultaneously like pretty audacious, but also kind of lazy too. Like it just feels unfinished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they also use it. They way overuse it. They use this effect 8 times at least, maybe more.
Yeah, I think it's more because of the gunfight at the end.
Oh god, yeah, they use like 4 times just in that gunfight.
Yeah, the problem with it is the effect is too long, and you watch it for too long. Like, it's not dissimilar to when you watch the Blade movies, and when Blade hits them. Because Blade also uses silver to kill the vampires in that film. That's probably where they're lifting a lot of this is from. Blade.
Yeah, this is Blade in the Old West.
Yeah, so when Blade kills him in the Blade movies,
but it sucks and Blade rules.
But Blade's awesome, except for Blade 3. But Blade 1 and 2 fucking rule. Blade. But when they get killed in Blade, they turn into fire, they turn into ash, and then they disappear, and it all happens very quickly. All of these all of the deaths in this film make you watch it as like the ash spreads over their bodies and they're on fire. And I guess he's trying to do a thing of like, oh, look how tortured they are in their death because fuck them, they're vampire, whatever. But it just happens too long and it gets boring. Yep. And the other side of that is, even though the visual is finished, the sound is very much not finished. Yeah. And I swear to fucking God, there is somebody making mouth noises for fire and ash as these people burn. When they turn to ash, listen to it, and it sounds like somebody going. It sounds like somebody doing it with their mouth because they didn't have a sound for that in their library. And like there's another one when Mina dies. Again, it looks good when Mina's dying, but when she turns to ash, it sounds like they made a fucking fart noise with their mouth because they didn't have. I'm like, what the fuck was that sound? What the fuck was that? Because it's like I'm like, are you kidding? Did you just as a legitimate sound for your feature film?
Yeah,
I'm gonna punch you in your dickhead, like just your specific dickhead.
It's less than $200 a year for Envato, and like even with the most like basic like things that you can pick out there, you could do better than what we got here in this mostly finished product.
I literally have Envato. I will fix it.
Just sound design this entire movie, and don't waste your time doing it.
It's the most distracting thing of the whole movie is the sound. There is the sequence when all of the vampires are getting melted in the saloon shootout type of scene. which we'll get to in a second. We're not, like I said, there's not a lot of story to talk about. So there's like 2 more sequences to talk about. The fact that there is no sound is so distracting. There's the weird sound design or sometimes just silence that's happening while the shootings and the meltings and all that are happening. But then the fact that there's no music in this like action sequence feels, it just takes so much of the sting out of the action. It makes everything feel slower, and it just feels acted because there's no music.
Yeah. It's how you can tell whoever was a sound designer on this film is a stupid fucking dickhead, because when they do the shootout starts with like, it's a regular saloon scene, and it kicked off by Devon Sawa dumping silver powder into the whiskey, and then all the vampires drink the whiskey and they all catch on fire.
Yeah.
While that's happening, though, there is a lady on the stage doing her can dance, and they show her doing her can dance right before she gets shot, and there's no fucking music for her to do her can dance to.
Yeah. All you need is a undoubtedly free track you could have found, or if you had any amount, like any audio editing, program, it's just to put this like ragtime piano just behind it. That's all you needed. But instead she's dancing to no music. I had that in my notes too. It's absolutely fucking bizarre.
Yeah, she's dancing to no music, and then literally 1 or 2 shots after that, like 1 or 2 edits after that, Devon Sawa jumps over to get behind the bar, and in that jump there is a bottle of whiskey that explodes. So we haven't seen any guns go off at this point, but we see a bottle explode. Yeah. But there's no sound of a gun being fired or the bottle exploding. Nah. So it's just, again, whoever's doing the sound design is a fucking nitwit, because they don't even put a gunshot where there's supposed to be a gunshot.
No, I think these types of things were the things that led me to believe that it is just like wholly unfinished. That and the amount of cover up that was just thrown in there to make it seem less obvious that it's unfinished, but it's still extremely obvious. Like when they have there is so much bad guy laughter, just like, oh my God, it's fucking horrible. And like that whole sequence, the silver poisoned whiskey thing where he buys the whole shot, and the 1, 2, 3 kid comes up and he gets, and he bursts into the flames and all that stuff. Is this, you could tell this was supposed to be Glenn's like red wedding, this was supposed to be the big thing he was going to do, but it just 1, didn't land, and 2, just never even got finished. So the whole thing just falls fucking flat on its face. It's super anticlimactic. And all you hear is just like grunting and bad guy laughter. But I will say I'm paying attention for the first time in the movie at this point because Danzig's on screen. Right. And he's the only person that's demanding any type, at least for me. I grew up, as much as I'll talk shit on him, I love him. I love him. I love his music. I will sit here and defend Danzig and watch any fucking stupid bullshit he puts out. So now that he's on screen, I'm watching. You know what I mean? But it's 45 minutes in. It's halfway through the fucking movie before he shows up. And then I'm super horned up because his catchphrase is hell yeah. That's just like, which is, if me and you were sitting here doing our Danzig impressions and going, what would Danzig's catchphrase be in this movie? We would just keep saying hell yeah.
Yeah, it would just be hell yeah, brother.
There's the one part where he goes, the fucking Davy Crockett, I don't know what the fuck his name is. The fucking guy with the hat, with the Civil War hat. Yeah, whatever. He goes, now that's the bad Bathory I know. And he looks over at Danzig. He's got blood all over his face. And he just goes, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's me. That's me, baby. 3. Hell yeah. You talking about me? I'm cool.
Do you want to call Kid Vlad is played by the guy who played Dennis the Menace in the 80s TV movie series. And
I meant to add. Oh my God.
he's also in Sandlot and like a bunch of. He was a child actor that clearly Danzig just brought back to be in this role in a very similar way that Rob Zombie has done with many actors. But yeah, it's just really funny that they got paired up as best friends in this film when it's Dennis the Menace and Danzig.
Oh, yeah. Dennis the Menace. And one of the strangest fucking movies ever. Dennis the What was the name of the killer that was played by Kramer in that movie? Do you guys remember? You know what I'm talking about?
No, he wasn't even in that Dennis the Menace. He was in
a 1987 series.
Oh my God, he was in the TV Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the Walter Matthau.
Not the Walter Matthau.
No,
and it's Christopher. Isn't it Christopher Lloyd that's in that? Not Michael Richards. It's Christopher Lloyd as the hobo who's eating the beans.
No. Who is the murderer? Remember how he's like the murderer that gets like left out of jail, and then in the Dennis the Menace movie. And I'm pretty sure it's Kramer who plays him.
Nah, because I'm remembering it as Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd plays Switchblade Sam, and he's like, he's living under like that bridge, and he's like eating beans, and he's getting worked over pretty much like Home Alone, because Dennis the Menace is always just like knocking his beans over, and he's falling ass first into his beans, and he falls into his campfire. It's a lot of bean humor in that movie. I don't know.
He's getting knocked ass first into his beans. All right, I'm gonna think. Okay, I'm clearly getting multiple movies mixed up in my brain, like in my just like weed addled like Swiss cheese brain. I am completely getting two movies mixed up, and I'm going to figure out what I'm getting mixed up, and it's going to be a revelation that only matters to me.
Are you mixing it up? Are you mixing it up with UHF possibly?
No, I'm not mixing it up with UHF. It's another children's movies. Michael Richards. Hold on. What? Oh my God.
Problem Child? Problem Child is what it is.
It's Problem Child.
Yes.
You remember Michael Richards' character in Problem Child? You know what I'm talking?
Yes. He was the bad guy in Problem Child.
That's what I'm getting mixed up. That's very satisfying for me to have clarified, and no one at home cares. But yes, I'm getting it mixed up. Problem Child and Dennis the Menace. Honest mistake, guys. They're pretty much the same movie. Meanwhile, my brain just as you made that. Yes, thank you. He's such a creepy character in that. He's kind of terrifying. But when you were talking about him as the child actor, I was 100% picturing the kid from Problem Child with the red hair. But also, Steve, when you said Problem Child, my brain just went, hell yes.
Hell yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Oh my God. Holy shit. Actually, you know what Christopher Lloyd's character from Dennis the Menace looks like? He looks like the guy from SVU in Harold and Kumar. Who's the guy?
Yeah. Christopher Maloney.
Christopher Maloney, who plays the weird guy with the pus-filled, boils on his neck that he's in the truck with, and Harold and Kumar. Holy shit, he looks exactly like a cross between him and Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Wow, that is a creepy fucking character to be in a child's movie. Tangents, my boys. That's what we're here for.
It's how you clear out the Danzig from your brains.
Yeah, you have to. So we do learn. Oh my God, side by side. Tell me they are not the same fucking character, even like to the nose, the hair.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we're looking at pictures side by side in the Discord here, guys. This is why you got to be on the Patreon. You got to be on the Discord here, guys. Ryder's sister. We get the big reveal that Ryder's sister is now a vampire. Again, we get no emotional connection at all here. And this like big showdown between the Count and Ryder to me, it felt less like an action sequence or a fight sequence, because there really wasn't much there. It felt more like a turn-based RPG battle.
Okay, so I think this entire movie was Danzig and his friends playing Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh,
yeah,
you got it.
You might be
nailed it.
right about that.
And he just turned his campaign into a freaking movie. Yeah. So yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree entirely.
This is
it's
we're
not
watching
it's a
his
turn.
We're watching his goddamn tabletop. Fucking. That's why it was so easy for him to write, because it was already a campaign he lived through. This is his fucking tabletop campaign. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so turn-based. The whole thing feels so turn-based. Like, you can almost hear him rolling the fucking die. Like, it is wild. He'll say something, then an action is performed. Then the other person responds and performs an action. Like, there's no action. To say there's no physicality is the understatement of the century. There is just...
I take my first action on the hooded vampire to my right, and then I take my bonus action on the hooded vampire to my left, and I stab them both with stakes in the heart.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
exactly
game
what it
master
feels
just steps in and is like, "You're out of ammunition," and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna look around the room. Do I see anything I can improvise with as a weapon?"
Yeah,
roll an observation check. Yeah, no, that's exactly what this climax is.
Oh my god. Yeah. And then the pithy line that was supposed to be delivered by the Count, which is after not even just both, all of his bodyguards have been very easily dispatched. And Ryder doesn't have a scratch on him, I don't believe at this point. He's dispatched all the bodyguards. The Count says, "This isn't my first rodeo," which is a wild catchphrase to interject in there. After he says it isn't his first rodeo, he proceeds to fall for the exact same trick that he just used on the other guys, which is surprise spike.
Surprise got you anyway.
Yeah. And then he just stands there. He just burns him. And he just stands there screaming as he burns. And it's like, I mean, he did do the punch that Ian mentioned. He punches him and then he wakes up. He's like, "Wow, you sure are good at punching." And then he just sets him on fire and he's dead.
He stabs him, he shoots him, and sets him on fire. And that's how you know
he
he's
does
the big
shoot
bad.
him too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know he's the big bad guy, because he took 3 different types of things to kill him instead of just the usual one. He
had to do an extra summons to kill him. He had to do
His
Knights of the Round.
He
had to do he has big hit points, so he had to do Knights of the Round on him at the end.
Yeah. So I think Devon Sawa, his character, we saw Death Rider move really fast at the beginning and move really fast at the end. So I think if he was a Vampire the Masquerade character, he's probably from the House Toreador, which they move really quickly, right? So that's his special ability, is to just be really fast.
Oh God, the way Danzig
falls for really beautiful things, and that's why he likes Mina Bell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the romantic. He's the romantic vampire. Yeah. What was the other? What were like the bourgeoisie? Like what were the? Oh my God, it's been so long since I played.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think Nosferatu were the really ugly ones, which I mean,
they were.
Big. Yeah,
but then there were the ones who were like the regal ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the, oh my God, I can't remember. Somebody's screaming at their phone at home right now, telling us the name. And then the other ones are telling, "Shut up, you fucking nerd."
Shut up,
yep,
dorks.
Exactly.
We've upset
everyone now.
Yeah. Yeah, there is, again, besides the fact that the Count had a hostage that was somebody's sister, we have no reason to like Ryder over the Count. But either way, he's killed him at this point. Yeah, the thing that I was like, oh well, there's one more like final sequence, which I probably missed this because again, I was really struggling to pay attention. At the end, Camilla is alive.
Yes.
Did I miss? Because I thought I saw her melt. What happened with her?
I don't remember her melting, but she definitely gets stabbed by Ryder.
Yeah, she gets stabbed, and then she gets like all fiery because he stabs her with the freaking silver.
But
right?
the fire
In the
doesn't
room?
spread on her. It just stays in her shoulder, and then we cut away. And since we never saw her like fully burn up, she's obviously still alive because Bad Bathory and her got to team up and hunt down Death Rider in the sequel.
I know, but it was so weird because I wrote her off as dead. Right, because she got stabbed with the silver, just like everyone else.
Because there's so much time between her getting stabbed and her getting unstabbed. Because
it's like half the fucking movie. Yeah,
she gets stabbed, and then there's the whole shootout thing in the saloon, and then there's the whole ending, and then we see Bad Bathory save her, and it's like, what the fuck? How long can she hold on with a stake in her fucking heart?
I just imagine now she was just upstairs on the floor, just like that Peter Griffin, like when he falls and hurts his knee. He says something like, Yeah, it's just, and then the best part, I mean, the coup de grace for me is at the end when she's alive. We reveal she's alive, which I was like, wait, what did I miss? She's still alive. But then also Bad Bathory, of course, is still alive. And then he's like, hey, we're gonna have to go kill that guy or whatever. And Camilla goes, well, you can bet your fangs on that. And I thought to myself, I blurted out laughing. Because I thought to myself, what if vampires were real and they actually
said this dumb shit?
How fucking lame would that be?
Yeah. You
can bet your fangs on that. Like, I mean, that is, honest to God, it's a Garfield joke. Like, it's, if him saying a vampire saying you can bet your fangs on that is a joke like Garfield would make in a Halloween panel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Being a television horror host, it is definitely something that a horror host has probably said. Like Sammy Terry probably said that, and Danzig saw it, and it's just stuck with him forever because we're just like, that's what we live on, is bad graveyard puns. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say I 100% could see Svengoolie having said that exact phrase.
Yep. Yeah. And you might be right. It might literally just be a reference to something Danzig said. But to your point, Brian, of like, what if vampires were real and they were cringe? I think the past couple of weeks have shown us that the real life vampires and villains in our life are cringe and they're not funny and they suck. So
yeah.
What was the there was a really great headline. As much as like any media right now, like any mainstream media just makes me want to barf kind of right now. It wasn't even an Onion article. It was like it wasn't the Atlantic. It was something like that. It was like, I knew the billionaires were, the bad guys were billionaires, but I had no idea they would be so lame or something.
Oh yeah. Was that Wired? That was the headline.
It might have been Wired.
Yeah.
But it was something like that. And I was like, yeah, that is absolutely true. Like, who knew? Yeah. If you would have said Elon Musk was going to be like, of a real life supervillain in the world, I'd be like, yeah, this makes sense. But also the fact that he was going to be such a fucking insufferable dork, was I didn't predict that.
The fact that he also he probably does know the houses in Vampire the Masquerade by heart.
100%.
Oh, seriously. Those trench coats he used to wear in high school and college, we've seen old pictures of on social media. He definitely knows all of the White Wolf houses.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are the chances that, because obviously this movie didn't end up, I'm assuming, I'm making some assumptions here, because it's not available anywhere, because the only place you could really get it is, from buying a DVD from Glenn's backpack. Like, what the fuck are the chances that they do a sequel? I gotta assume really, really low.
Devon Sawa's star, because this came out in 2021, so it was probably made in 2019, 2020. Devon Sawa having his resurgence with the Chucky movies. We're about to get a new Final Destination. Finn Wolfhard's rebooting Idle Hands. Devon Sawa does not need the money enough to come back to do a sequel of this. So unless they're replacing Death Rider with a different actor, there's no way he's going to be wasting his time doing that.
Well, that's why I said he's going to just write the sequel with him as the good guy.
Yeah.
Why waste the money trying to bring back Devon? Just write a Bad Bathory movie now, and then him and the lady from Blair Witch 2 can go do their own movie together.
That is who that is. Oh wow!
Yeah, didn't even make the connection.
Yeah.
What is it's Blair Witch 2? It's something of secrets.
Book of Shadows.
But Shadows, not secrets.
Yeah, Book of Shadows.
That movie kind of rules. I'm just gonna say it. Kind of rules.
I'm on board. I watched it again probably within the last 5 years, and like it's weird, and like it's definitely one of those things where it's like everything you saw is unreliable and it was a dream or whatever, but it's still a lot of fun. It's of its time. That's absolutely true. But I love it.
We have fans in the Discord. We're all pro Book of Shadows here, is what we're learning. Yeah, you're probably right. This is the first I'm hearing that what's his name? Freaking Stranger Things kid is doing an Idle Hands reboot. I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, it was big news a couple of weeks ago. Finn Wolfhard and somebody else he's been producing stuff with have gotten the rights. Devon Sawa has given it the okay, and it looks like Idle Hands is coming back. And I actually just saw a preview for a slasher movie that it looks like Finn Wolfhard may have been involved in helping write when I went to see Hard Eyes or Companion over the last couple of weeks, and it looked good. I mean, I'm excited for the kid. I think he's a fan of the genre, obviously growing up in Stranger Things. He's been around it. Is it going to be the best stuff ever? Who knows? But I'm excited that he's excited about it at the very least.
Yeah. Just more like, I don't know, young people writing new horror, because I feel like all the remakes and stuff just reeks of like old people in, you know what I mean? Like we need young kids making horror movies again, you know?
Yep.
It's all for hitting our buttons, but like, who cares about us anymore? We're old. We're out.
Yeah,
we're out of the age group.
And I'm gonna like new shit anyway, just because I'm fucking jaded, and like people our age who are just looking for fan service, like, you know, they can fuck off. We're all gonna be dead in 30 years anyway. I would love. I mean, it's just to see that. I feel horribly out of the loop on stuff like this too, because I have been avoiding social media like the fucking plague for the last month, and so I love the fact that I can come on here and on my own podcast learn stuff that I should know about what's happening in horror. I actually come and host a podcast now to learn what's happening in horror, not to tell other people, because I refuse to be on social media.
What's going on for Brian?
Yeah, hey, I need people to come in the Discord, tell me what's happening because I don't have a TV anymore.
The new segment.
New segment. Catch Brian up on what's happening in the world. All right. Tubi doesn't fill me in. Tubi and Shudder don't fill me in on all the new news that's happening out there in the horror world. Although I have watched a lot of new stuff in the last few weeks. I know we didn't talk about the beginning of the show. Maybe next episode we'll talk about stuff we've watched. But
yeah,
I got some suggestions I forgot to bring up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that come out on Shudder. I want to jump back though to a character in Death Rider. It is after everything goes down, and you know, Rider's on his way out. There is a character in here, and she's played by Julia Klaas. And Julia Klaas is an Eastern European actress who usually plays Woman or Svetlana. In this, she is playing a blonde madam for the brothel, and Danzig has fucked her over in so many ways and gives her speaking lines, because it's obvious English is not her first language. He puts the Dracula teeth in her mouth, and then either through her own decision or Danzig's direction, she decides to speak with a Western accent, and she has,
I know you're talking about,
the best line delivery of something I've ever heard, in that all the vampires are dead. Their skeletons are on the ground. And she looks at all the other surviving prostitutes and she says, go on, collect their bones and their wallets. And just the extended way she pronounces go in her just fucked up accent full of teeth is so funny. I just started laughing. I couldn't help it. It's just a punchline at this point. It's the end of the movie and that's the punchline. Go on.
Yeah, it's like she panicked for a moment because she half swallowed the teeth.
Right. Yes. Yeah, one went down her throat and she had to get through it to see if she wasn't going to die or not.
Yeah. But she's a professional. So
right,
she pushed through.
One more point I wanted to bring up though, and maybe help me with this if this is like the correct way things went, but there's one moment where Danzig actually seems to be the most excited he's ever been. Like he's like, he pushes past his badass artifice for his character and just actually seems like a happy little kid. But it's when him and Kid Vlad are doing the shootout and he leans down to Kid Vlad and he goes, cover me, kid. And like, there's such like a lilt in his voice when you can tell so desperately he just really was playing cowboys and robbers, at this point, like outlaws and sheriff, like he just felt it at that moment. But after he says, cover me and disappears, he runs away, right? Like he just runs away we don't ever see him again interacting with Ryder.
No, this was he just disappears. And I had this in my notes and I skimmed over it because it's really bizarre. And the two notes that I took from the scene was one, I'm just glued to Glenn on screen. I'm loving him on screen. Right. I do think he needs a little work with the pistol. Everyone does. Eli Roth does even. They saw that move that they used to do, the rapid fire. And for those of you who can see what I'm doing, the rapid fire where you shoot it with one hand at like waist height, and then you're kind of using your palm to slap to rapid fire drop the hammer down. So if you've seen this in old westerns that are actually like well choreographed gunfights, it's basically a way to quickly squeeze off a bunch of rounds. Right. So if you've seen any of those, like, even like modern, Quick and the Dead and those types of Western movies, it's a way where you can squeeze off a bunch of rounds really, really rapidly. And the really amazing gunfighters can hit people from the hip doing that, that sort of stuff. In this movie, they all try it, but they don't know why they're doing it. And they're just firing off single rounds, but they're holding the gun at waist height or like belly button height and pulling the hammer with their open palm on the other side, but then just squeezing off one round. And I'm like, guys, that's not why you're doing that. Like I'm not even some sort of like Western, like I love the Western genre, but I'm not like one of these weird, guys who like do, cosplay Western cosplay. But I got to imagine that most people at least understand why that didn't happen. Like why they wouldn't have just done. It's bizarre, right? And he does that. He does one of those. So Glenn does the pull back that way, squeeze off one round, goes cover me, and he's jubilant in that moment. And then because I keep wanting to call Devon Sawa Ryder Strong because it's Ryder. And I just associate those as two like teen heartthrobs of the 90s. Ryder Strong, of course, is Sean from Boy Meets World.
Right.
Totally different guy. But Ryder is behind the bar still, like back to the bar, kind of classic. And he goes, cover me. And then just goes and takes a shit or something. He just fucks off. He literally fucks off.
Yeah. Like, Bad Bathory is a coward is what he really is.
Yeah. And then we don't see him until the last sequence of the movie. And you're like, he just came back from taking that super long shit.
Yeah.
That's what in my head happened. He was like, fuck, this gunfight's so fun, but oh my God, do I have to shit?
Fucking turtle head in there.
It's why he got his name. Bad Bathory is what you say after you go in the bathroom after episode. Yeah.
That's Bad Bathory is the 1840s version of do not go in there. That's what you say when you come out and blow up the bathroom. That's a bad Bathory. Don't go in there.
There's a bad bath or three.
Yeah. He literally ruined all three of the stalls. That's when you go in, you take a shit, you flush, it overflows, you go into the next. You literally do it 3 times. It is this is the most slapped together piece of shit I've watched in a long time. Even the movies that what's that horrible production company that we've watched from with the director that is like an amalgamation of people and doesn't even exist. You know, they did The Killing Tree and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know the name of the production
nor
company.
Should you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the English company that did The Killing Tree and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Dinosaur Hotel series.
Yeah. Even those movies, even though they're dog shit, they do feel like they set out to deliver what they started. Even though it is a steaming pile of diarrhea, they delivered what they set out to create. This movie feels like they like a kid who procrastinated till the night before the project was due, was like working on it all night, and then was like, all right, I'm just going to close my eyes for 2 minutes and then I'm going to get back to work, and woke up when his alarm was going off at 7 a.m. It was like, fuck. And he just handed it in.
This film really is written double spaced in size 16 font. Is the way it's dragged out. It is written in just big font to fill
the
in
margins. They widen the margins.
2-inch margins on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't seek it out. I mean, if you're a Glenn Danzig fan, go watch it. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't pay money for it. That's for sure.
Try not to.
Try not to if at all possible. Anyway, any final thoughts before we wrap this son of a bitch up? Any final thoughts on Death Rider in the House of the Vampires from 20 and 21?
Ian, did you have any? Because I just had one that made me laugh.
I guess just like one final question. Do you think if there was like a 35-minute edit and somebody redid the sound design, that there could be a decent short film in here?
Not decent, but watchable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say decent's a strong word in this scenario. Yeah. But yes, if it was 35 might be a stretch. Honestly, I'm not even saying to be funny.
Sure.
25, it might be watchable.
Yeah.
Because, and especially if you skip a ton of the stuff before Danzig shows up on screen.
Yeah. I think you could get a good 7-minute music video out of this, where like maybe you start the film with, you know, him riding the topless woman in, and you go, oh, damn, what's going on here? This is art. Because look, she got the big boobs and they out, and it's a long take of her ass for no reason at all, too. And then there's also, there's 2 things I have to bring up now. In that scene, when he's bringing her in, after the Death Rider proper song ends, there is a scored song in there. And in that scored song, it's an original piece, but also Danzig himself is crooning the oboe part of Ecstasy of Gold. It's in the mix of the soundtrack where he's just going, oh, and you can just hear it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you just copying that song for, like, I understand it's an Old West song, but he's copying Ecstasy of Gold with his croon noises, and it's like, that's crazy.
It is all like Sergio Leone. I honestly think that was what he set out to do. Was make this like spaghetti western, and just he didn't hit any of the points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If this movie, I would say, I guess going back to your question, Ian, if this was a short film and it was directed by Eli Roth, I think he could have pulled it off.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
I feel like that would be, because like Eli Roth to me, and I'm a fan. So like, I love that he's just an unabashed fucking horror nerd to the umpteenth degree. Like, he's an insufferable horror nerd, which I appreciate. Eli Roth to me is like a, like mini Quentin Tarantino, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like a like a rich kid crappy version of Quentin Tarantino. In a good way. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but like if he did that, I feel like he could pull off the aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He could make a competent film out of it, but he didn't. So don't worry about it.
He didn't. That's true. If somehow Danzig decided to like re-release She Rides, like, and this was the music video for it or something, that would be great.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could do it. Yeah. Okay, and so my very final last point is just a little funny thing. When Carmilla and Ryder are first meeting each other, Carmilla's asking his name, and he's like, "Name's Ryder, just plain Ryder." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Maybe I'll tell you what it is later." Like he's like leading on. He's like, "I'm gonna tell her it's Death Rider at some point, and it's gonna fucking blow her mind when I kill her." And like that, like that's the setup we already see coming. When he stabs her and then leaves the frame, but then comes back into the frame and he goes, "Oh yeah, and it's Death Rider. Bye." It's such a quick like, oh fuck, I almost forgot to tell her I was Death Rider.
Oh, I almost blew my fucking big line.
Well, and that's how you know that Bad Bathory and him aren't friends, because he introduces himself as Death Rider, but my friends call me Rider, and Bad Bathory responds, "Well, hi then, Death Rider." Like, I'm not your buddy, guy.
I'm not your fucking guy, pal. Oh god, this movie fucking sucks. This movie sucks shit. You guys don't watch it, or do. I don't know.
Please watch it. Just watch it. There's plenty of second screen time in there.
Oh yes, there is. You don't have to feel like you're missing anything. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Anything else? I think we've done this movie. Frankly, given it too much time from our lives. But yeah. Before we wrap it up, let me remind you, we've got a fucking stable. We've got a crop of potential topics for the March Showdown. We've got horror on the battlefield, religious horror, and Victorian horror. So make sure you go over on the social medias and vote on those. And also obviously check out Hallow Ian and all he, remind him one more time before I forget where they can find you, because
We've made it easy. You can just at Hallow Ian on Instagram or Blue Sky. It'll take you to all the other places. We are taking submissions for season 3. We've got live shows coming up. So if you want to come to the Seattle area and see the Graveyard Gang live, you can do that. And you can find all of our episodes on YouTube. But just at Hallow Ian on Instagram or Blue Sky, it'll take you all the other places.
Hit up the link, Spoils and Ghouls, and while you're at it, check out. I'm scared and aroused in a number of ways in preparation for what our next Patreon exclusive podcast series is going to be. And if you want to find out live while we record our February and final episode of Youth Groupers Forever, you got to get over there and sign up for the Patreon right damn now, because we're going to record it, probably here in the next couple of weeks here, right, Steve? So
yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap up and we put the Gabagool himself to rest for, I don't know, at least 6 weeks till we probably start talking about something Danzig related again. He's at this point, he's almost the most common reoccurring character we have on the podcast.
He is a bit of a mascot for us, and that's why I've been so mad that it's taken me so long to reclaim the title to unleash this film on everybody. You know, because it's like I feel like we were losing our mascot. We weren't being able to do the voice, and
we hardly even. I feel like we barely even did the voice this time. Like, we just got to start bringing it back on every episode. There was a stretch there where we were doing Glenn Danzig as part of the episodes every single week.
Got to do the voice. Got to ask for the cold cuts. Got to tell the ladies to take their shirts off. Got to get it all in.
Yeah. But join us next week. As always, we'll bring another son of a bitchin', probably hot shit garbage movie. Maybe we'll do something good next week. I don't think we've decided yet. But if you got a suggestion for us.
Yeah, we've gotten some suggestions, but yeah.
Good. Maybe we'll do a listener suggestion for next week. That sounds fun. All right. Ian, once again, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone joining us in the Discord here. We end up having a nice, fun little crowd here with us. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Bad Bathroom.
I'm Hallow Ian. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
Wishy waiter.
Later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.